turn 84 of Good Luck High Five.
That's right. You're listening to a podcast that's for you if you play Magic the Gathering. Hopefully you are having an awesome time playing Streets of New Capenna. But if you're having a difficult time, hey, we're going to talk all about it today.
Yes, we are. I'm one of your hosts, Maria.
I'm another one of your hosts, Megan.
And on today's show, like Megan said, we're going to talk about Streets of New Capenna Limited.
Yeah.
Not only because this is what the episode we always talk about, the new sets limited
because it
environment.
is hot, hot, hot.
Hot off the presses into our hot little hands, onto our hot little laptops.
Are your hands sweaty right now?
So no, they're freezing.
Yeah, you think it's
so
chilly
cold.
in here. I think that Maria is secretly dead.
Oh man, can you imagine being secretly dead?
No, I can't.
You didn't know it, nobody else knew it, but you were.
But you were?
But then, like, what's the difference
That's
from
not
being
a
alive?
thing. Exactly.
That's just a secretly being unalive, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. You get all of the benefits of being dead and none of the downsides.
Yeah. What if, like, 5 years into being a vampire is when you found out that you were one?
Wow. You would, but you would have to drink blood.
What if you just were, like, eating and you were just like, why doesn't this taste good?
Raw steak.
Yeah, all of a sudden you were super into steak tartare and, like, nothing else tasted good. And you're like, I don't know what's going on.
Just love steak tartare.
You didn't go to the doctor because you don't like doctors,
Yeah.
so they never told you don't have a heartbeat.
And then you're like, wait a second, I'm vampire?
And then you run into a vampire in an alley and and you're like, oh no, vampire. And the vampire's like, what are you talking about? You're a vampire.
Wow.
Anyways, CW, you can have that one on me.
All the benefits, none of the downsides.
Exactly.
Secret vampire.
What were we talking about?
Streets of New Capenna Limited. It's a very interesting limited environment. And you know what? It better be, because it's going to be with us for the next 3.5 months.
Yes. We were just talking about how Dominaria United does not come out until September. Which is wild.
It's a long time.
In the meantime, we will have Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate.
Yep.
But we were also supposed to have the Unset this summer, which isn't happening thanks to supply chain concerns.
Yeah, so that's been bumped back to the fall. So we're going to have a super busy fall and winter for Magic. But summer's going to be a little bit dry. Thank goodness for Baldur's Gate, because we're going to be able to play that on Arena. Yeah. So that'll be some alchemy shenanigans, historic shenanigans.
Do you want to know how much I think about forest fires? Is that you said the summer's going to be a little bit dry, and immediately I panicked briefly, and I was like, oh no, increased chance of forest fires. But
Smokey would be proud.
You were just talking about Magic.
How many times a day do you think about forest fire?
Okay, like, honestly, a lot.
I mean, yeah, thinking about the climate is like a normal
I will
thing
tell you,
that we unfortunately have to think about a lot.
We've had a super gray and rainy spring.
Yes.
And every single day that it's been gray and rainy, I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm bummed about this, but I'm so glad that it's not like last spring, which was so dry. We had forest fires up north in Minnesota, which is not at all normal.
It was bizarre.
Exactly. So this year, at least, that won't happen unless all of this early rain leads to a boom in vegetation, which then dries out and does lead to increased forest fires. Happy Monday!
I thought you were going to say, unless the span of Magic not releasing a standard set dries us out even more.
Nope. All right, we can get back into talking about what this show is about.
First, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Is it Smokey Bear or Smokey the Bear?
Smokey the Bear.
I don't know if it's. I think it's just Smokey Bear. I know, I'm going to blow your mind right now. Look it up. See if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But it's like, I have a memory of learning this and being shocked that it was Smokey Bear, not Smokey the Bear. It's be like if you learned that Kermit the Frog was not Kermit the Frog, but Kermit Frog.
Yeah, his name is Smokey Bear.
Isn't that infuriating?
Yeah, that's absolutely infuriating. Also, if his name was Kermit Frog, I
rioted.
I would not get over it ever in my life.
I was unknowledgeable in middle school or whatever. What was it called back then? Quiz Bowl? I don't know. It was the baby version of Knowledge Bowl. And one of the questions was, what is Kermit's middle name? And the answer is the. His middle name is the.
Yeah. Which is a bummer of a middle name. I will say Maria did also once lose a $100 bet against Nicholas of the Good Luck High Five board games channel.
Yeah, I
because
did.
they were arguing about Which one Scruff McGruff was?
Yeah, because there's Scruff McGruff, which is the younger McGruff.
Yeah.
And then there's McGruff, the crime dog.
Yeah.
Who has no first name.
Oh, and Maria thought that Scruff McGruff was just the crime dog, right, and not the younger one.
Yeah.
I was there when it happened.
See, character names are important, everybody.
Okay.
Give McGruff a first name.
Yeah.
You know, he deserves one.
Yeah.
Go listen to his crime dog tapes on YouTube.
Do you think that means
smart kids don't do drugs? Look it up.
That Miss Piggy has a first name and her middle name is also the?
Her first name is Karen.
She's Karen the Piggy? I believed you. I was going to go with like Stella.
Oh, Stella would be a great name for Miss Piggy.
Stella the Piggy is her name, but we only know her as Miss Piggy? I'm just saying,
she's our kindergarten teacher.
Because if we only knew Kermit the Frog's life, like what if we had just known Kermit the Frog as Mr. Frog our entire lives? This episode.
That's what I call him.
We were a solid
6
minutes in and have yet to talk about anything magic related, but it's coming.
You know,
it's coming.
The reason we want to talk about limited was because this is what I was going to say. Not only do we have to live with it until September, but because a bunch of events on Arena this month are limited.
Yeah, we have the May Arena Open.
The Arena Open is limited,
which is super exciting. There's also the very first play-in, which can get you qualified for the qualifier weekend, and that's going to be Phantom Sealed.
Yeah, it's so cool. And this week, Midweek Magic, everybody, is Phantom Bot Draft.
Wow.
That's free, so if you want to go play a free draft. And get some, ICR rewards, it'll be kind of fun.
Nice.
So yeah, lots of limited on Arena this month, so plenty to talk about on this episode, and I'm sure more to come in the future.
But before we get started, there are people to thank. First and foremost, amongst them are you, the patrons of this show. Yay. If you are a patron over at patreon.com/GLHFmagic, just thank you so much for making this show happen, for making everything that we do happen. And thank you especially to new patron Nick.
Yay, Nick!
And to Steven, who increased their pledge this
Steven!
month as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nick. And thank you so much, Steven, specifically this week. This episode's for you.
Yeah, and Nick, once again, I want to mention, bought the whole year up front, which is a very smart way to do it because you get a discount. You can become a member of our family, and we'd love to have you as a member of our family, get access to our cool Discord and cool other bonuses that come up every so often. So thank you so much to everybody for supporting the content that you consume. It's so important to support the creators that you consume, that you listen to. Consume makes me feel like I'm saying you eat us. It's not what I mean. Your ears eat us.
No. Thank you as well to Card Kingdom, cardkingdom.com/GLHF. Card Kingdom is like, also speaking of supporting creators.
Oh yeah.
They walk the walk. They talk the talk.
Big time.
Because they support us and so many other awesome content creators out in the magic sphere. So thank you so much to them. Get your new Capenna set boosters. Get your draft boosters. Get your Streets of New Capenna, whatever way you want to play it, over at cardkingdom.com.
Yeah, say good luck, high five, and they'll give you a free token or sticker in your order. And they're just a really great, solid company that we're proud to have as our sponsor on this show. So check them out if you need to buy any packs or sealed boxes of New Capenna, because you're gonna have them. You're gonna have them to play for a while.
For a while here.
New Capenna limited chat time.
All right, Maria.
Yes.
Tell me about how it's been going for you overall.
Well, it's a 3-color set, so there's a lot to think about when you're playing a 3-color set in limited.
Yeah.
It's a lot trickier. Building your mana bases correctly can be a little bit tough. Figuring out card evaluations versus like what colors you should be in, navigating the draft and how to weigh different colors. Is the payoff good enough to be splashing this or putting this in? Or is this going to force me to Cabo Ready when I shouldn't? Whatever. There's a lot to think about. It's really complicated. So starting off, I was having a real struggle bus time with Streets of New Capenna. Yeah. Not doing well. Kind of tanking my drafts and being like, what am I doing wrong? Like, cause I would have super powerful cards. I was like, I feel like I'm drafting these families correctly. I'm drafting cards that just like on their face value are good. Like our friend, the 2/1 white flyer that gains you a life and draws you a card, like putting those things in my deck and be like, great, I've done it. Like this card is nuts.
Yeah, this card is very
good. Put it in my deck.
Yeah.
But I was still losing a lot until I changed my strategy. So, I can show you pictures of my decks that I have.
Let's look at a couple.
Okay.
I will say I have noticed, I've felt in this set like reading my seat in the draft is very hard.
It's so important too.
It's so important, and it's so much more challenging because there's so many possible
Overlaps.
color combinations.
Yeah.
Exactly. You'll be in a seat and you're like, I think white is open in this seat.
Yeah.
But like all of a sudden it's not, right?
Yeah.
It looks open in pack 1, and then 2 and 3 it's closed because it turns out that 2 people were in like white adjacent color pairs and then added white into it because it's accessible in a 3-color format.
Exactly.
And you're just like, it's just so hard to figure out sometimes. And like the color in your seat can just be really like, it can shift a little bit during the draft, it feels like sometimes.
And it's really tough, especially if you're a newer player, to know when to pick lands when you're in a format like this.
Yeah.
Because the lands obviously are critical. I've found kind of like if you've played your seat correctly somehow, you've managed to come through, play your seat correctly, the lands will come to you later than normal in a multicolored set.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what reason that is.
I think because one, there is kind of an abundance of them. You can look like sometimes you'll have a pack that has 3 fixer lands.
That's
in it.
true.
And I also feel like my rule of thumb has just been if there is not a card that is excellent for my deck, like very good, and I'm like, yes, solid.
Excited
pick.
about it.
Yes. I will.
Then you'll take a land.
I'll take a land. I'll be like, if this pick only, if there's like 3 cards that I'm like, these are like 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, like, right, you're getting into that part of the build of your draft.
Right.
Like, these aren't going to be my 1st through 14th picks for my deck. Then I'll probably pick a land over them.
Okay. So here's an example of a draft that I'm going to pull up. If you're listening to the podcast of this, we'll try to describe it for you, but we're also going to put links in the show notes so you can look at pictures of the decks as well. On the video version, youtube.com/goodluckhighfive, you can see them. So there you go. This one is an example of a train wreck that I drafted. And I think this is a great example because I think if you're a newer player or somebody like me that loves to play with the big splashy headliner cards, you can get yourself into a real problem in this set by trying to put yourself into these decks. In some formats, we found even recently that it might be a little correct to kind of quote unquote force your seat.
Yeah. I feel like in Kamigawa, you could force. Yeah. Like you could force
be like, I'm putting my foot down. This is what I'm drafting.
Yes.
And I'm taking it. Ooh, I don't think you can do that in this set.
No.
So I started off this draft with Jetmir. What is he? Nexus of Revels. Great name.
Life of the party, baby.
The Great Catsby, if you will. And I was like very excited because Cobb Ready, what a fun color combo. And I'm here with the leader of the Cobb Ready. I'm like, all right, great. I'm going to force a Cobb Ready deck.
And this card, it can also be like really good.
If you have 3 or more creatures, they get vigilance. Then they get
+1/+0.
+1/+0. Then they get lifelink if you have 5 or 6.
Trample. So it's like if you have 3 or more creatures, it gets +1/+0 in vigilance.
Oh yeah.
If you have 6 or more creatures, they get +1/+0 again. So that's +2/+0.
Gross.
And trample. So at that point they have trample, vigilance, and +2/+0. And then if you have like 9 or more creatures,
like
they get like
double
double strike or something obscene like that.
It's obscene. I also have Stimulus Package in here because I thought it would be fun to do some shenanigans with Capenna Express and Glittermonger and messing around, crewing that thing with treasures and whatever. Anyway, this deck was terrible. It did not get a single win. And you can look at it and probably
I don't think that this is a 0-win deck. That is surprising to me that this is 0.
I had 2 Inspiring Overseers, which is a 2/1 flyer that draws you a card. So I was like, oh, okay.
I like that card a lot.
I love that card. It's obviously one of the greatest commons that's ever been printed.
It is.
In the modern era.
It's Busto.
Common. I've got Ballroom Brawlers. I've got Silence.
I also really like Ballroom Brawlers.
Very good card.
Really good card.
It's kind of an insta kill.
Yeah.
Good. Topiary Stomper, the rare dinosaur.
Yeah.
The 4/4 at 3 mana.
Okay.
He's fine. He's a serviceable card. Civil Servant, which is a card I really, really like.
Yeah.
2/3 lifelink and cat if you tap another citizen. I almost said civilian. Anyway, this deck was a hot garbage. It just did not do anything. Like, people are going to run you over if your deck doesn't have a plan because people have caught on early that you can draft aggressive decks in this format, red, black, sacrifice being one of them, or you can draft a really, really fast blitz deck. And if you're farting around trying to crew your new Capenna Express with your Glittermonger, good luck. Yeah. And then the power level wasn't there as the payoff. So there was no reason. I just wanted to show that one off as an example of what not to do. I did have a success drafting 4 colors actually with this deck, which I'm not sure what to call it, but it had a lot of gold cards. It should have had the Scuttling Butler. I wish I had a Scuttling Butler in this deck because there's lots of gold cards.
Ooh, Scuttling Butler is like, that card is real.
It is real.
You're so mad when it is.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, they play it, and then, like, the next turn they play another gold card, and it has double strike, and you're like, I'm mad about this.
I have to kill this 4/1?
This stupid 4/1 artifact creature.
It costs 3 mana?
Yes, it's like 3 mana, and it just...
And it's a game ender?
is infuriating. How many times have you taken 8 from a Scuttling Butler when you did not want to?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I did at the pre-release.
A bunch.
For sure.
Anyways, keep talking about this
Anyway,
deck.
this deck was a lot better. So this is an example, I would say, of a deck that's like, I'm going big on multicolor, and I will hopefully have the payoffs for doing so. So we have Falco Spara, who is the Broker's leader, the 3/3 bird demon. We have Fleetfoot Dancer, which is the Cabaretti 4/4 trample lifelink.
Oh, that card is so rude.
It's very rude. Lagrello the Magpie, the card nobody knew what do.
How many at exile?
Disciplined Duelist, another Broker's multicolored card. Cabaretti Charm, Ginny Faye, Jetmir Second.
Oh, I love Ginny Faye.
Rococo, the one that can pay X to go get some stuff.
Oh man, I love him too. He a caterer.
Really good.
Yeah.
Really? Caterer?
Yeah, he's Rocco the Cabaretti caterer.
You need a good caterer.
Yeah, every party needs one.
2 Jewel Thieves, which is a great card in green, 3/3. Prize Fight, 2 copies of those. 2 copies of Raffine's Informant, which is the white 2/1.
Really nice. That connives.
Cleanup Crew on the top end, Rox Pummeler on the top end, 2 mana fixing multicolored cards, and a bunch of fixing in my lands.
I will say, if you're in green, you need 1 or 2 of them big boys to get the job done.
Yeah.
And that's like green's thing. They're like, okay, we're just kind of fart around.
Yeah.
You better be drafting something with 6 power if you're...
You don't want you're gonna die to flyers otherwise. I'll just say that. But yeah, this was a 6-win deck. Probably 7 if I paid better attention when I play my drafts, which is something I'm working on. But this is, I think, a good way to do multicolor, which is to say, put all the power in. If you can find the power, stuff all the power into your envelope and go for it. Yeah. And because of this draft and doing so well in this one, what happened is I made some very bad decisions on my next drafts. I was like, ooh, I'm going for a super powerful 4-color all the time, like 3-color, 4-color. I'm just going to jam it. And it just never came together. And it was just like Hot Mess City. Hot Mess Express.
Hot Mess City.
Toot toot.
Yeah.
Get on the train.
New Capenna could be described as Hot Mess City.
It sure could.
New Capenna. Hot Mess City.
I'd play that version of Grand Theft Auto. Hot Mess City.
If they made like a more cheerful, like if they made an Art Deco Grand Theft Auto and called it Hot Mess City, I would absolutely play that.
I think that's a fun one.
Yeah.
So then when I started to hear the scuttlebutt around the internet is what you want to actually do is draft 2 colors and then lightly splash your 3rd. And then maybe lightly splash your 4th. But you should go into every draft with the assumption that you're going to draft normally like you're trying to be 2 colors. And I was like, come on, you people, you're out of your minds. But then I started to do it and I started to actually win. Here's an example of a sealed deck I did it in, which is even weirder. Yeah. Because sealed is
usually just about power level.
Right?
Yeah.
I did this with green, white sealed. I got the maximum number of wins in this bad boy.
Wow, nice.
I think my rare was Gallagreeters.
Yeah, that's in there.
And that's it.
Oh, spicy.
So no mythics, only 1 rare, which was a 2-drop. And this deck did it. And it wasn't
Gallagreeters is hot.
I mean, Gallagreeters is a great rare.
Yeah.
But like that was all she wrote. I have Inspiring Overseer, 2 of those, 2 Civil Servants, a Jewel Thief again, Darling of the Masses, which is the green white that makes citizens when it attacks, 2 Speakeasy Servers, which is a 3/3 bird.
2 buyer silence.
Buyer
Nice.
silence. Yep. The exile effect, which you've got to have if you're dealing with shield tokens. Counters, excuse me. Celebrity Fencer, one of my favorite commons.
Yeah.
Its counter is when other creatures enter the battlefield.
Great art.
I love Celebrity Fencer.
Yeah.
But anyway, this was just like kind of proof to me that this was where, at least for me at the current moment is where we are in draft week 1 is what I want to be doing. Going in, my mindset is I'm going to try and be 2 colors. If I splash, okay. And if I splash a second time, okay, but I better be really careful about it because people can seriously run you over if you're messing around with your lands or whatever. Anyway, that's my sealed tip. I mean, I can't believe this deck did it. And it did.
I mean, it's nice. You've got Darling of the Masses. That card is great. You've got 2 Civil Servant. That's the real deal.
I love Civil Servant.
Like I said, you've got some good flyers. 2 Inspiring Overseer. Kill Shot, Knockout Blow. I will say, removal in this set, draft it.
You know what I heard even?
What?
That you should even play the bad removal.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm putting that in quotes for all of you podcast listeners.
Yeah.
Which is Witness Protection.
Yeah.
Which normally we wouldn't play that. They're like, play that.
Yeah.
The 2 mana one, they're Ransom, Hold for Ransom.
Yeah.
Play that.
Just like play it. Play it.
Yeah.
Play it all.
Yeah.
Play the removal.
All of the above.
Draft it. Draft it, play it. Play it, draft it, play it, play it.
So that's been my experience. What has been your experience with New Capenna Limited?
1, I always forget to take screenshots and save my decks. But here's 3 that I remembered.
Okay, great.
Let's
like
look.
to be fair, I did not screenshot like all of my hot garbage decks.
Yeah, let's see.
I those right in the garbage except that one I showed you.
I'll let you figure out for yourself like which ones are which.
Okay.
All right. This is a 4-color, 5-color monster.
Wow.
This is the one where I was like, okay, those 3-color commons, I'm just going to like take every one that comes around and see what happens.
You have 3 Mass Bandits.
Yes.
2 Glamorous Outlaws, even though there was a draft when you had 4 of them that you played in the early access event. And you have a Shattered Seraph.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, you see I have Maestro's Charm, I have Rivetier's Charm, I have Murder.
Unleash the Inferno, the Riveteer 7 damage card.
Yeah. You know, this deck, not good.
Oh,
I know.
Sad. It looks so cool.
It does look cool. But like, and do you know what? This one, it was like kind of hard to say exactly what was bad about it. I feel like some part of it was just like, I don't know exactly what went wrong here. It just kind of felt like what I was doing didn't line up well against the format, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Something about this didn't line up right.
Yeah, yeah.
It was very fun to play, that being said.
I mean, that's what's making me sad about it.
I know, which at the end of the day, I am going to honestly always say I'm going to probably do what's fun.
Yeah.
This was, I want to say 2 wins, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Here's my own Jet Mirror Nexus of
Oh,
Rebels
you got a Jet
deck.
Mirror.
Yeah.
Ooh, 2 Cabaretti Charm and a Cabaretti Ascendancy. Hello.
I know. Cabaretti Ascendancy, nice. You just get to like draw creatures, or like if there's like at the beginning of your upkeep, you can look at the top card, and if it's a creature, you can reveal and put in your hand. Otherwise, you can put it on the bottom of your library.
Okay.
Just nice.
Oh, and you had Jaxus the Troublemaker too.
Yeah, I had Jaxus. I had Rocco Cabaretti Caterer.
2 copies of Light 'em Up.
Yes.
Great. 2 Inspiring Overseers.
Yep. Rafine's Informant.
The other day I got Inspiring Overseer Pack 1 Pick 6.
That's obscene.
People, that should not be happening.
No.
If you take one thing away from this episode,
always take Inspiring Overseer.
Always take it.
Always take it.
How did this deck do?
Do you want to guess?
5 wins.
No, 3.
3.
Yeah. This one suffered from not having any cards. There's a lot of card selection and card advantage in this set, right? Connive gives you a lot of card selection. There's like Inspiring Overseer does draw you a card, but there's a lot of ways to improve the quality of your draws in this format, and this deck doesn't really hit them.
And let me tell you,
I don't really have Connive, and so
you don't.
There were plenty, like my losses, I just drew the underwhelming side of my deck, and I didn't have a lot of ways to manage that when this format offers a lot of ways to manage that. So if your opponent has a lot of connive, their card quality might even be overall worse than yours, but if they're able to get rid of the bad stuff and only play and cast their good stuff, like that's just going to get you every time.
It's interesting too how much more important that is, your card quality and your selection in this format, than other formats.
It's so important
because of the multicolored nature of this set.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're in a 2-color deck, another advantage is you don't have to really quote unquote worry about this, but you're trying to make your mana work for you. And, hopefully you did an okay job getting the lands during draft or whatever, but say you could be a little bit better. Well, you're going to lose your mana. If you can't figure out, if you don't have like Rafine's Informant, for example, helping you to connive to get to where you need to be and find your powerful payoffs that made you in this 4-color, 3-color
exactly
deck. So,
and when other people are doing it because it's so widely available, like it's gonna underperform.
Yeah.
And this one I think also suffered from like cards 1 through 10 in this deck. Great.
Yeah, for sure.
Cards 10 through 23 lower, subpar.
Drop off.
I would say
the old drop off situation. Yeah.
All right, I think I saved one more.
Okay, great.
Here is this gal.
Ooh,
this is a different 4 copies of Glamorous Outlaw deck.
This is the second time you've done this.
Yes, it is.
Well, you have a Scuttling Butler again. Great.
Yes, great.
Quasar, Augur
You'll
of
notice
Agonies.
that I am splashing for that card. If I have one takeaway for you from this format, play this card.
Quasar's great.
If you have the opportunity to play this card, play it.
I love Quasar so much.
I cannot name you how many games I have won by simply ending up at parity with my opponent and then playing this card and then just waiting. You just get to sit there and be like,
you better kill it.
Goodbye.
Because it's going to deal 1 to them every time. And you gain a life every time you draw a card. Which you're doing, then you've got 3 copies of Echo Inspector. So you're going to trigger Quasar.
Excellent.
Echo Inspector is great.
So good.
Which is so funny because you've also got 2 body droppers in here.
It's a weird deck.
Who you dropping?
No, I'm not dropping anyone.
I had somebody steal my creature and body drop it, and I was like,
wow.
Is this what it feels like to actually be in a game? Like on Capenna? Ooh.
There's like a little bit of stuff, right? Like Sanguine Spy is a rare that lets you sacrifice things.
Ooh, I love Sanguine Spy.
Yeah, so that friend's in here. There's
Maestro's Charm.
Plasma Jockey.
2 Deal Gone Bad. How do you feel about Deal Gone Bad? -3/-3, mill 3.
I'm about it.
So why do you like this card?
So it's just because, again, it gets around the shield counters.
Yes.
And it kills a lot of stuff in this format.
Yeah.
Like, we're looking at like Quasar is a bad example, which is right here. And I just talked about because it is like a 4 toughness creature. But there is just an exceptionally high amount of cards that get hit by -3/-3.
I would call this set's magic number 4.
Yeah.
Because 4 toughness is where you save yourself from a lot of grief.
Exactly.
So Quasar, another reason why Quasar is great is the 4 toughness on the booty.
Exactly. A Deal Gone Bad. It's at instant speed.
Yep.
And okay, here's a spicy thing
Goes
about
with your
it.
Sanguine Spy. Yeah.
There are some cards that want you to have 5 cards in your 5 mana values in your graveyard.
Yeah.
So you target yourself.
Yeah.
There are some times when what you are doing, Maria, I have won more games in New Capenna already by not milling my opponent, but by us just reaching a stalemate for so long that the person who draws out first loses.
Interesting.
And so there are times when if I look at a game and I'm like, do you know what? In this game, I think that there's a chance that I don't win by ever attacking. I think that I win by hitting you with all my removal and then clogging up the ground with these 4/5s. And so I'm going to target you with Deal Gone Bad.
Sure.
Because I think that those 3 cards are going to make the difference.
Absolutely.
And it certainly happened a bunch.
This format can be prone to that if everybody's got like powerful things that they're just sitting out and they're like waiting for somebody to draw the removal, waiting for somebody to be able to crack the ice.
It's a thing
in this game because there's just like a lot of power on the BF, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe this is why those quote unquote bad removal spells are just good in this format because it's like
it's a stalemate.
The bombs. Well, let me tell you one thing about them. They sure as heck are bombs.
Yeah. You best kill them.
You best kill those bombs.
You best kill those. How many wins do you think here?
Is this your best one of the bunch?
Yes.
7.
Yeah.
Okay.
This got there with 7.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Glamorous Outlaw, I really like it.
I mean, when it comes down as a 4/5 and it hits them for 2,
And you scry
feels
too?
great.
Like it's 6 is where I want to be scrying too.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah, I've drawn all the lands that I need. Obviously, I just cast this thing. Ship
get out
away
there.
them lands.
How have you liked the other mechanics in the set? So we've got Blitz. We've got.
I like Blitz.
We've talked about Connive.
My favorite Blitz common is the 4 and a black for a 4/4.
Girder Goons.
Girder Goons that when it dies leaves a 2/2 rogue.
Let me ask you this question. The way I like to think about that is because it's like 5 mana, you're like, oh, I want a 4/4, right?
Yeah.
Would you pay 4 mana to deal 4 to your opponent, draw a card, and get a 2/2?
Yes, obviously I would.
That's what that card is.
That's what that card says.
They're never blocking it.
They never block it. You just get your 2/2, deal 4 to them, draw a card.
Card is not a 4/4.
Hot stuff.
Don't play it as a 4/4.
It's really good. Never cast your Girder Goons.
It is a Blitz card.
You need it. It is
It's
excellent.
like, what, 5% of cases when you want to play it as a 4/4?
I don't even know.
Blitz has impressed me so much more than I thought it would.
Yeah. Connive, love
Great.
it. Absolutely
How can you
stellar.
not love it? It's excellent.
Let's see. What else are we talking about here? Shield counters. They can bite me, whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly how I thought we'd feel. And we do feel.
Yeah, and we do feel that way.
Very annoying.
It is, I think, why I do take Deal Gone Bad, maybe technically higher than I should be. But just because I'm like, you are never going to get me with your stinking Falco Spara. That sure is a hot 3/3 with a shield counter on it. Get that thing out of here.
Sure is.
Yeah. Like, and that's the thing is that, like, I do feel like the balance on the shield cards is that most of them, even like talking about Rock's Pummeler, right?
Yep.
It is a 6/3
6/3
with a shield counter on it.
Exactly.
And I think that a lot of that is super intentional so that stuff like this hits it. So I do take it pretty highly because it hits all the shield stuff. What else is there? Alliance. Underwhelming.
Yeah, it's like, it happens.
It happens, and it Gallagreeters, which is the rare with Alliance on it, excellent.
I mean, yeah.
Everything else, whatever.
My favorite celebrity defense are getting counters.
Oh yeah, that one's good. Right?
I wish there was more ways for Cabaretti. I think Cabaretti needed
it needed a token maker.
Yeah.
It needed to raise the alarm.
I'll raise the alarm. That's what I'm trying to think.
It needed to raise the alarm.
It definitely needed to raise the alarm. And then in Maestros is what's Maestro's mechanic? Connive.
Wait, we already said
not Connive.
Casualty. What is even? Oh yeah.
That light him up.
Fine.
It's okay.
I don't
really use it.
Like that. Exactly. I barely ever use it. I don't like that stuff that I would want to take and then use for it. Is either at uncommon, right? I'm thinking like Rafine's Informant.
Sure. Yep.
Is something that you would want to sacrifice to it, and it's at uncommon. Corrupt Court Official, obviously, right? I want a 1/1 to make them discard and then to have as fodder. But it's a 1/1 and there's not enough casualty 1 stuff.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yes, that's the problem.
Casualty needs to be more casualty 1s.
Because light 'em up would be, I mean, like maybe you'd be like, oh, that's too good.
Light 'em up, but it's not good. And honestly, I don't think light 'em up is as good as it should be.
Yeah,
like I think
agree.
that card needed something, and maybe making it casualty 1 would have done that.
So the card you want to do casualty with, or also connive with too, is the blue card that comes back as a fish from the graveyard or whatever, or unblockable
Expendable Lackey.
Expendable Lackey.
Also a 1/1 though, right?
1/1.
Like it's just not. There's not enough.
Can I talk about Corrupt Court Official just for a second because you mentioned it? I think Corrupt Court Official is better in this set even than Virus Beetle was.
It's very good.
And Virus Beetle is great. And the reason I think it's better is because all of us are farting around with our mana.
Yeah.
And then they're like, discard, and you're like,
do you know what? The amount of time, like my one barometer for it is the amount of time that people spend thinking about their discard. Every single time
exactly what
you
it
hit
is.
them with a Corrupt Court Official, it's like it is a tank for the other person. They're just like, what am I?
Do I risk it for the biscuit here?
Exactly. Like, am I going to give up my sick card, or am I going to give up one of my 3 colors of mana?
Well, I'm glad there seems to be such a far way to dig down into this set yet.
Yeah, I'm very excited for where it's going to go. I like, I like, as you know, I am like skeptical so far of like the 2-color thing, mostly probably because I just want it to be a 3-color set.
So do I.
But I also do. Part of me is like, it's been a while since we had a true 3-color set.
Tons of cards
like this. And so part of me is wondering if it's like, is it like, do people just also need a little bit more time to navigate how that feels?
Yeah.
And figure out what are you supposed to be doing?
I don't know. I'm happy to report though about that sealed deck win with those 2 colors. Like, a lot of times I worry about sets that have high power level like this, where the bombs are extremely good, and sealed and being like, oh, well, I couldn't win because I didn't have the bombs.
Yeah.
It made me feel a lot better. I was worried that would be the case when I would just win with my, 2-color, only 1 rare sealed deck. So
that's pretty sick.
That made me feel better about it for the Arena Open that's coming up and for the play-in event that's going to be Phantom sealed later this month too. That, don't worry, you don't have to open 2 Titans of Industry like me at the pre-release
to be able to do well.
But it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. Ultra Pro's color of the month is this gorgeous blue.
Look at this.
It's so lovely. I have here the Eclipse 11 dice set just because this is one of my favorite new products that they've had in like the last
year. I really like those dice.
So they come in like a little storage box. You've got a D4, 4 D6, which is really nice.
Yeah.
A D8, 2 D10s, a D12, and 2 D20. So whether you are playing Magic and you need a lot of different, like, there's so many counters these days, so many plus one counters, so many like loyalty counters. You just need to be able to roll dice sometimes. Or you're playing like, maybe you're playing D&D or another kind of RPG game that you need to roll dice for. Eclipse dice set got you covered.
I love it too because if you ever notice at the store, D&D dice normally come with like maybe 1 or 2 D6.
Yeah.
Like not enough if you're a Magic player. So
you need 4.
Ultra Pro has got your back Magic players with their awesome dice sets. I've got the Eclipse sleeves here in this beautiful blue color. Are you feeling blue? Well, you will no longer with these Eclipse blue sleeves.
Yeah. Do you know what? Your sleeve should be blue, not you.
Not you. I love these Eclipse sleeves. These are what I used at the pre-release. They shuffled like a dream. Yeah. We like to say they shuffle like butter on the show because
they do shuffle like
that's
butter.
That's how it feels.
It does. It's so smooth.
A buttery shuffle.
So smooth.
A buttery shuffle for you and yours from Ultra Pro. If you want to buy anything from Ultra Pro, use the code GLHF at checkout for 5% off. Can stack with other coupon codes, like they always have sales on. Yeah. Like there's a spring clearance event recently. So whatever you need to get, use the code GLHF to save yourself a little bit of money. Now that we're going back to our LGS, we're playing more in-person games of Magical the Gatherings.
Go and get it.
Go and get it.
And get it. Maria, are you ready for some story time?
Story time, new Capenna edition.
Yeah, that's right. We are here with episode 1, Homecoming of the Streets of New Capenna story.
I'm going to get into bed with my little glowworm and hold my glowworm as you tell me the story.
That's weird. I don't know what you're talking about.
Google it. 1980s glowworm.
What?
Who remembers these glowworms? You all know what I'm talking about.
Worm.
It was a glowworm.
Okay, yeah, this is the whole thing.
There he is.
Whoa, no. No.
And he glowed. No. And you held him and he glowed and he was a worm.
Yeah, he glowed because he's possessed.
I loved that thing. And it's so strange because back then it wasn't like, here's toy X, Y, and Z based on these other things you consume as a child. Like... Megan's just zooming in on his eyes.
At this.
On his dead eyes.
Yeah. No.
Like, oh, look at this. I mean, we started to get it then, of course, with like My Little Pony and, it started to happen in the 80s. But there's such like stuff like this. Like, where did this come from? I don't know.
Someone was just like, hey, how about it's a worm wearing a pajama hat?
Anyway, that's what I'm holding when you tell this story. So just imagine it looking at you while you tell this.
I'm really upset.
Yeah. Come here, Mr. Worm.
Okay. This story starts with Elspeth's death back during Theros, original Theros. For those of you who don't know, maybe you've started playing since original Theros. You remember our original gods of Theros, the 5-color ones. There was Heliod, god of the white color pie.
The sun.
Heliod the sun. for white mana, Erebos, god of the dead for black mana, Perforos, god of the forge for red, Thassa, god of the sea for blue,
Nylea.
and Nylea, goddess of the hunt
For green.
for green.
Yeah.
So anyways, and then there was a planeswalker named Xenagos who aspired to ascend to being a god on Theros. He did manage to do it, and Heliod was very mad about it. And Elspeth was also in love with a man on Theros named Daxos. So she had made like a deal with Erebos
I forgot about that.
to bring Daxos back from the underworld.
Classic.
Yeah, exactly. Very classic Greek stuff. And also Heliod was like, hey, you need to take down Xenagos. Like, will you take down Xenagos? Will you be my champion? And Elspeth was like, it's always a bad idea to make a deal with gods because they're notoriously fickle in Greek worlds / on Greek inspired planes.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, I will do it. So she takes his spear and she kills Xenagos. And then Heliod kill Elspeth because he's fickle and that's how gods work. And he's like, I don't want someone thinking that they can kill gods and go, unpunished for it.
Oof.
So we open on Heliod just big time stabbing Elspeth with the spear. And very sad. It is sad. Like Ajani is there in the distance with the battle, and he comes and like carries her out of the temple of the gods. Because apparently if she had died in the temple of the gods, she would have just dissolved instead of gone to the underworld. Anyway, so he brings her out so that she can regular die, go to the underworld. We have Theros beyond death. She rise.
Yes.
Okay. She escape. So I don't know exactly why that is here in this story. Perhaps it will play in later in the chapters of New Capenna.
Okay.
Or maybe it plays into why Elspeth is going to New Capenna in the first place. But that's where we start. And that's, that is important backstory for Elspeth. I feel like if you want to learn about a person, you should learn if they've had a death experience.
Have you been dead and lived in the underworld for a while? It seems pretty pertinent.
It seems important to tell someone. All right. Then we meet some of the maestros. We're at the Maestros Museum, which is kind of Xander's headquarters. And Xander is there, and he's kind of just like doing a little painting. And he's like, I'm old and I'm not good at painting, but I like painting, and that's enough. And I think that that's an important lesson in this story.
It's like that image that people share the video from Fred Rogers where he's drawing a house with some crayons, and the caption is like, "It's not very good, but that's okay. I like to draw."
Exactly. That is exactly the energy of Xander in this.
Wow. Okay, Mr. Rogers Xander parallel. Didn't think I'd get that today.
Exactly. And he's up in the maestros are up in Park Heights, which is like way up in the sky. So New Capenna is, as we all know, sideways stories from Wayside School.
Yeah, vertical city.
It was supposed to be long, but instead it's straight up.
They just turned it on its side.
New Capenna was not supposed to be long. It once was a plane that was long.
It used to be a strip mall,
but now
it's a skyscraper.
I'm just saying that we don't highlight the parallels between Sideways Stories from Wayside School and New Capenna enough for my taste. All right. Anyways, he lives up at the top.
Okay.
There's clouds. There's a beautiful Maestros Museum.
The Maestros are at the tippy top. That's pretty sweet.
They're up at the top. And his like right-hand man is here also, and Hello, who's also a vampire.
Yeah, so cool.
And it's actually like really... It's very nice, right? Because Xander is like this big crime family boss.
Yeah.
And you would think he'd be, right? It's always the portrayal of like kind of like a ruthlessness about it, right?
They're all demons. So
exactly.
You're like,
they vamp.
Vamp demon, no less.
And so, and Hello is like kind of late, and he's like, I'm so sorry. And Xander's like, I literally don't care. He's like, it's fine.
Take whatever finger you want, boss.
He like, yeah, and Hella's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, you weren't late. You just gave me time to appreciate the new landscaping across the way.
Xander. So balanced.
And Xander's like, really just like, stop. I don't care. And Hello is like, okay, I was just down in the Mezzio, which is kind of the middle, obviously.
Yeah.
Mezzio, which is also the cabaret spot. And he's like, kind of, listening around down there. Oh, there was also a part where like Xander's like, you were in the Mezzio, and Hello was like, how did you know? And Xander's like, I know everything, but the truth is that he can like smell the different parts of it, like of the Mezzio. He's like, oh, it smells like
weird
open markets and incense and all this other stuff. Anyways,
vampire nose.
Yes. He's like, okay, you have a new job. And in order to get you ready for your new job, come over here and stand on my little tailor's pedestal. And I'm going to give you a new outfit.
Oh, this is great.
To help you blend in because you're going back down to the Mezio in a disguise.
I knew I liked the maestros.
Exactly. It's great. And he's just like, and so literally, Xander is like this big lord of the maestros. And here's his right-hand man on his little like tailoring pedestal while Xander gives him an outfit.
This is the kind of crime I'm into.
It's so good. And then he's like looking through all of these like different things that he's like poison rings, obviously. Ooh. And like there's like these cuffs that they can put on that like silence the sound of magic. So it's like a silencer for a gun, but instead it's just magic. But they're silencing the sound of magic.
What does it sound like?
Yeah, I have no idea. So they are also, while they're doing this, they're talking about a new person in town who is called the Adversary.
Did you hear about the Adversary?
Which we all know is Obnixilis.
Yes.
But the Adversary is recruiting people to his cause by being like, you can have unlimited Halo. And they're talking, and Xander's like, the real reason why he's able to come and cause a disturbance is because Halo is in short supply. It's been dwindling for forever.
Yeah.
And so the Adversary isn't the true problem. The true problem is the root of it, which is
the scarcity.
The scarcity of Halo.
Does it say where they get it?
No.
Or how they get it?
They have not yet said it. But there's more of that in a plot point in a little bit.
Milking.
So. Or sweat. Hey,
angel sweat.
Come to my club and drink some angel sweat. Anyways, so he's like, okay, you're going to go down to the Cabaretti are having a big party called the Crescendo. Great name for a party.
Great name.
You're going to go down there and, gather some information. And then Hella's like, that's what the Obscura do, but fine. And then, so he's finished giving him all of his like new outfit. And at the end, he like gives him like a ring to add to it. And then Hella's like, what does this ring do? And Xander's like, it looks terribly fashionable.
Wow, incredible.
So anyways, and they're mostly talking about how Xander's worried about the power structure of New Capenna shifting around because of this short supply of Halo.
I've got to say, I didn't expect Xander to be so chill because in his portrait, he looks very creepy.
He's super creepy, right? He has these like big horns.
Yeah.
He's holding this big sword. And we also know that back in the day, before he became head of the family, he was an assassin. Because earlier he does some reminiscing about like, if only I had
the good old days.
The good old days. If only I had like all of my youthful strength from then and everything I know now, I would be a top-notch assassin.
Wow.
And also it turns out that he's like compiled these books, the remaining histories of the founding of New Capenna.
Oh.
And so we know that he made some kind of deal to become a vampire because he's been alive since then, but he doesn't really remember it. Anyways, and so he puts on his very special museum gloves to look at the old texts and is looking through these old texts. We don't know what
he can't remember how he got vamped?
I think he remembers, but he can't remember his time before that very well.
Oh, sure.
All right, now we head down to the Cabaretti.
To the Crescendo.
Exactly. Jetmir is sitting there with Ginny Faye, who it turns out is his adopted daughter.
Cute.
And Ginny Faye and him, he's like, there's a party going on right now. And she's like, I'm more worried about the Crescendo, and we need to be planning for the Crescendo. And he's like, don't worry, it is going to be a bomb party. And he's like, did you invite all the families? Did you invite the Adversary? And she's like, yes, I haven't heard from the Maestros, and I didn't invite the Adversary because he's not worth inviting.
Ooh, shade.
It would be showing him respect he does not deserve. But Jetmir is like, it's sometimes better to show respect before it's due. You never know how a small friend now might become a big ally later.
Oh.
Jetmir, life of the party.
Jetmir.
Anyways, and Ginny Faye is like, this is going to be like the best Crescendo ever. And we are going to be at the top of the pack when we reveal the new fountain. It is some kind of fountain of Halo. And they don't talk about where they're getting this magical new supply of fresh Halo from. Where is it going to be coming from?
Angels in cages in the basement.
Well,
sweating.
We don't know. But they also have a very cute relationship for the person in charge and their right-hand man.
You're right. They do.
Exactly. They're very adorable. She's like, I'm busy. I'm busy. I'm worried about all this stuff. And he's like, you need to go down to the party. Like, you are far too lovely to be missing a party. And she's like, so are you. And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm old. And she's like, don't talk about yourself like that. And then she goes to see.
And then she throws a ball and he chases it.
Yes, exactly. Anyways, so then she's done with her meeting and she's like, oh, I've left my friends, Kit and Giada, for too long. And so we go out and we see her two friends, Kit and Giada. Kit is some kind of cat person who is going to be singing a song at the crescendo.
Oh, great.
You get it, Kit. And then we find out that Giada, as much as she's like calling her a friend, and Giada is like very well taken care of, right? It seems like Giada is kind of like Ginny Fey was probably an orphan who was taken in by Jetmir and like the top echelon of the cabaret or whatever.
Okay.
But it seems like maybe she's being kind of like held against her will, right? Like prisoner in a palace type situation.
Sure.
Because Ginny's like, why does she always look so sad? She has shelter, she has luxuries, she has all the food she needs, like she's protected, everything's great.
This is how I talk to my cats. Why are you sad right now?
Why are you sad?
I
Your
give you
life
everything
is
you
perfect.
want.
Exactly.
Except freedom.
And she's like, she had everything she could possibly wish for apart from her leave.
Yeah.
Which means she cannot go anywhere.
Wow.
So
I like that there's the word toots in this, by the way.
Yes, also Ginny Fey uses the word tut.
Toots.
Anyway, so we know that Giada is for some reason a prisoner of the cabaret. All right, Vivian Reed arrives in New Capenna. She's looking for a place that can find some kind of balance between nature and like the mechanical.
Nurture.
And she arrives in New Capenna and she's immediately like, this place ain't it, boss?
No, definitely not.
This place all mechanical. It's not chill. She's down on the lower levels, right? So we've seen Xander in the top, Cabaret in the middle with their great big party happening.
Yeah.
And now she's like where the Riveteers are. And it is basically just like wild scaffolding and girders. And people literally just like run across girders as if they're streets. And she's like, you could literally fall at any second, but they don't seem to notice it. And as she's, kind of looking around here, she goes into a room where someone is making a speech. And it turns out it's Ziatoria, which, of course, is the leader of the Riveteers. And she's giving a real heck of a good, like, rabble-rousing workers' rights speech.
Oh, really?
Yes. She's down here. We are not to take orders from the people sitting in the estates that we built, sipping the halo that comes from our stores. Ooh. And people are like, yes. And she's like, the cabaret demand too much for the crescendo without spreading the benefits. The brokers just come down here on our streets. The obscura are lurking among us. Like, this is our place.
Workers rise up.
She's like, this is literally the foundation of New Capenna, and we freaking built it. Show us some respect. And all the workers are like, yeah. And so Vivian is like down there listening. And when she's approached by a planeswalker who we do not know the identity of because they're wearing their full-on New Capenna outfit, including like a fedora, right? And he's like, oh, she's like, you're not from here. And he's like, you're wearing clothes from another plane. And she's like, oh, you're like a planeswalker not from here. So she follows him. And she's like, interesting. She was like, okay, how much? No, he asks her, how much do you know about Halo? And she's like, I have nothing.
Look, buddy,
whatever.
I just got here. I heard a
She's
speech.
like, I just arrived and was listening to this sick workers' rights speech. And this stranger is like, this plane thrives on it. It holds immeasurable power. The man I'm currently working for is in the process of acquiring it, but his real goals lie elsewhere. And it's obvious this is Tezzeret. It's Tezzeret in a fedora. Okay?
Oh,
yes.
It is.
And he's like, come along, then Urabrask will be eager to meet you. Urabrask, of course, being our praetor friend.
No,
and Vivian is like, she's like, I have heard enough. I've never met Tezzeret, but boy, word on the street about this guy is bad. But Vivian is not one to back down from a fight, or in this case, a detective mission, because she's wearing her detective outfit. So she's like, he's like, do you want to come with me? And she's like, fine, but like, let's be clear, you're not ordering me around. I'm just coming with you to find out more. So Vivian is about to do some undercover work. And Great. She's like, also, who's Urabrask? And he's like, Tezzeret's answer is, it's complicated.
I'd say.
Anyways. Oh, and this is very interesting. Tezzeret at the end is like, it will make more sense once you've met him, but for now, all you need to know is that he is on our side. And she's like, what side is that? And he says, the side of freedom.
Freedom?
Which is not.
Freedom from your own personal
exactly.
self.
Yes, freedom from yourself is, I think, what we would say.
Huh.
The Phyrexians have so far seemed to be about.
Yeah.
All right. And our last little stop is the Metzio train stop in the middle of New Capenna. And Elspeth arrives. Oh, and in Vivian's part, we get a little bit more about how there's like we know that New Capenna is this big city, right? It's vertical. And Vivian tells us a little bit about there is apparently still the plain below it, which is mostly, it's just ruined, right? There's nothing there. It's a lifeless plain below. And there is some kind of magical barrier between the plain and the city of New Capenna.
Interesting.
And that's all that we really know.
Okay.
So there is like an old Capenna, I guess, for whatever else you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's like somewhere way, way, way down there.
Interesting.
And forgotten and abandoned and like a desolate wasteland.
So
is what it kind of sounds like.
But it's not like under dirt and stuff. It's just under a magical barrier.
There's like a magical barrier. It's like the plain and then a magical barrier and then New Capenna. So I was like,
oh, it sounds like we should do some archaeology, but no.
No,
we can't.
I think it kind of has a vibe of like, you don't want to. So Elspeth arrives and she's like, this place is noisy as heck.
Yeah.
And they wear strange clothes. And she's like, all I've got is this backpack of stuff that belongs with me. And she's there. And all we know is that she arrives there and she's like, home. Johnny told me that this was my home.
Oh.
And it doesn't feel like it, but he's never lied to me. So she arrives there and she's like, why does this place not feel like home? And why does my friend say that it is my home?
Interesting.
End of chapter 1.
Okay. Yeah. This is what I think.
Okay.
Old Capenna was ravaged by the Phyrexians.
Because we do know that in Elspeth's past, she was a prisoner of the Phyrexians.
Yes. And that's why the Maestros Xander can't remember pre-vamping.
Oh, yeah.
Because something weird happened with Phyrexians and vampires.
Right? Like, who knows?
That's my guess.
I think that you're probably right. That like the reason why Old Capenna is somewhere down there below a magical barrier is because it was like wrecked in some way.
Wow.
Spooky.
Well, that was a great start to the New Capenna story.
Yeah, it's a good story.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what happens.
We'll have more.
Thank you for coming to our TED Talk, which was this episode of Good Luck High Five.
This is a TED Talk. It was less structured than the usual TED Talk.
We didn't have any PowerPoints.
No.
There wasn't a red sign in the background behind us or whatever. But
do you remember when TED Talks were like a big thing?
Yes.
They used to have like a lot more oomph to them, I feel like.
A lot more prestige.
Yes.
And then they watered down because then there was like a million different kinds of TED Talks.
There were like TEDx Talks and like
TED Talk, Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
And you're like, I don't want to hear that.
The ultimate for me though was, do you remember this? We stayed in a hotel for some event and the door like do not disturb sign on it said, don't disturb, I'm watching a TED Talk or whatever.
I do not remember that at all.
I took a picture of it because I could not believe it.
That is absolutely wild to me, actually.
I mean, it was the most absurd do not disturb thing I could possibly imagine. I didn't know if like that hotel had hosted some kind of TED Talk thing, and that's why it was there.
Just TED Talks being like,
we're gonna
how
pay.
Are we gonna get
marketing?
What's the best advertising thing that hasn't been used yet? And one of them was like, how about those things that hang on hotel doors?
And I'm like, it couldn't be like they hosted it because then you'd be going to it. You wouldn't be in your room.
Be in your room watching it. No, I think that was just an advertisement.
Yeah, that happened.
Great.
It was real.
Wild.
I'm like, this has never been true for anybody. on vacation. Hold on, I'm just gonna take a few minutes.
I'm just gonna take a few minutes to watch this TED
Talk for a while in my room. Yes, but thank you for coming to ours.
Yeah, thank you. You can listen to this in a hotel room and use that weird door hanger, and it will be accurate.
It'll be just fine.
Thank you again so much to our patrons. Thank you especially to Nick and Steven. Yay. This one was for you.
Get yourself an episode dedication.
Yes. You can even, do you know what? For a limited time, you can become a patron and you can ask us to dedicate the episode to someone else instead.
Oh, all right. Yeah. We'll take requests.
Exactly. All you have to do is become a patron or up your pledge. Like, I'm not even going to put like a finite dollar amount on it. Just when you become a patron or up your pledge, send us a little message being like, this one's dedicated to so-and-so.
It's Mother's Day coming up.
Or to a thing.
We could dedicate to moms.
If you want us to dedicate an episode to fishes, we'll do that. You just got to ask us to. And thank you as well to Card Kingdom and to Ultra Pro, our always wonderful and kind sponsors who we highly recommend from the bottom of our hearts.
Absolutely. Oh, you know what? We didn't show off our Grey Poupon commercial on the episode.
I was thinking about that as you were doing this, but
maybe
next week.
Yeah. We filmed the commercial. If you didn't see it, we'll put it in next week's episode because it is truly something to behold.
It is wild.
Any clout I had on the internet, I took it and I threw it in the garbage and then I put it down in the garbage disposal.
Everyone really liked how the fact that that hat didn't fit you. And that it was literally dangerous for you to be driving a car in it because it was obstructing your vision.
I look horrifying. Let's just put it that way. Thank you, to our sponsors. Thank you to all of our patrons. Patreon.com/GLHF Magic. Come be our friend. And thanks for hanging out for another week.
Yeah.
See you back here next week for more Streets of New Capenna shenanigans. I'm going to go let out the angels in the basement.